A comment on my one of my YouTube videos talking about how they called me a player and they didn't like that I've had some casual sex and one-night stands, and I really like something you said in your speech, which was like there's kind of two ends of the spectrum in dating. There's the monogamous relationships, and it's all about kind of love, and there's the other end where it's about like just having lots of sex and picking up girls. But I found where lots of the speakers, I think most of mainstream society sees those two spectrums, but where all the speakers are coming from was someplace in the middle, where it was really about a heart connection and connecting, sometimes monogamously, sometimes multiple girls, but the focus was on being abundant and also just connecting with pure love and truth and honesty. So I really like that part of your speech and the other speakers' speeches.
Yeah, a big part of that is really getting in touch with what you desire. You know, we have this idea of being sucked into the social conditioning. And on one side, you've got the monogamous marriage, you know, long-term relationship, or serial monogamy type of connection, which is very socially approved of and acceptable. On the other side, then you may get out of that, and now it's like, okay, it's just all about hookup culture. You know, just a lot of casual sex. And then that is kind of its own package of social conditioning. And there's other people to whom that's very acceptable. And so you can kind of get, and then there's all kinds of, you know, variations on that too. And you may get sucked into one of these social conditioning networks where you're just supposed to conform to that. But you know, eventually you may reach the point where, okay, I need to consciously decide what kind of relationships I like, and you can explore the social conditioning on one side or the other, or all kinds of patches of it, and then think, okay, that's a good way of mapping out what else is possible there, but what do I really want to experience now? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with choosing to experience something that aligns really closely with one of those socially conditioned models. And for a time I did that. You know, when I was, you know, going to do the whole monogamy marriage thing, I felt like I was choosing that. I didn't feel like I just got sucked into that. But at the same time, I wasn't really familiar with all the other possibilities and alternatives out there. I didn't know anything about open relationships. It just seemed like kind of this, you know, area maybe in the back of my subconscious that I never fully explored. So I didn't really give it a second thought. And when you become more conscious about your relationship back, and you go out and explore a lot more and see what else is out there, then you may find, you know, here's something I've never tried before, but I happen to really like it. Like I'd never tried open relationships up until several years ago. When I finally got into it, I realized, oh, it's not just like what I thought it was like looking from the outside in. It's actually this really rich way of connecting with people. And it's not just all about having a bunch of casual hookups. To me, that's not really an open relationship. That's just being open sexually. Open relationships means you can connect in the body, mind, heart, spirit areas with multiple partners. You can have a lot of rich depth in that area. So that was a lot of fun and very rewarding to explore. And now I feel like I've kind of found my place in the relationship universe where I like to be and where I'm really happy and fulfilled. But it took a lot of experimenting, exploring, and getting past the social conditioning, and then getting past the idea of rebelling against the social conditioning. You know, so you're not just like doing the opposite because it's the opposite.
Yeah.
So, and then you know, when you finally find your home base where it feels good to you, then that becomes kind of a new place from which you can explore, but you always feel good about where you are.
So I really like your heart, body, spirit, mind model, and I was wondering if you'd like to kind of explain that to the audience.
Yeah, well, in terms of connecting with people, you can think of it of a connection as occurring across one or more of four different dimensions. So one is the body connection, so that's physical, anything involving touch. Like if I touch your leg when we're talking, it's physical connection, you know. Anything, you know, cuddling, kissing, having sex, anything of a touch nature, that's your body connection. How you use your body language, too, could be in that area. The mind area is how we connect mentally. So like here, we're having a mental discussion, mental conversation, sharing ideas, exchanging thoughts. That's the mental connection level. And then the heart connection level is sharing emotions. So anything from just, you know, expressing how you feel to falling in love with each other. Whatever happens in the emotional exchange between two or more people, that's the heart area. And the spirit area is something that's defined in a very individual way. Like some people have a really clear sense of what it means to have a spiritual connection with another person, or a soulmate connection, or a spiritual partnership. To me, the spirit aspect means helping each other grow. Like we come together, and even if we've never met in person, there's some kind of strong connection there that sends our lives off into different directions afterwards. And we can, you know, experience these kind of connections randomly, but as we grow, we can also decide what we want to experience. You know, what kind of conscious connections do we want to create there? What do we want to experience next in terms of a body connection, or a mind connection, or a heart connection, or a spiritual connection? So lately, I've been especially really interested in like heart-spirit connections. I've had, you know, a lot of mind connections up the wazoo. I have great body connections, kind of, you know, just in my life for many years, because I have a great girlfriend. And so, you know, but with connecting with new people, I love to see what's possible in that heart and spirit connection, and then kind of go from there.
That's very neat. You're very focused on the heart connection and being authentic and vulnerable and loving to connect with women. That's kind of your main thing. And I was just wondering if you could talk about that and perhaps go into cuddling.
Yeah. Well, partly it comes about how I got involved in talking about dating and relationships. I'm in my 40s now. I wasn't, if I was in my 20s at the time I was starting this, I might be a lot like many of the other speakers in the field. But, I was in a 15-year continuous monogamous relationship. That's where I was coming from. And married for 11 years. And I have a couple kids. And so when I got into, we were dating and open relationships in late 2009, I'd already had that as my history, and I was really enjoying the intimacy of a long-term connection. So I didn't want to just go around and replace it with a bunch of shallow hookups. I was used to a relationship that was very deep. So my thought was, well, how do I recreate that kind of depth in a relationship, but still be able to explore, and have open connections and do all kinds of fun things there. And so I had to go a different path than other people because my goal was different. What I wanted to experience was different. And so I wanted to find ways to connect really deeply. One of the best ways I found doing that is skip the dating and stuff and skip the strange, crazy approaches and just do like cuddle invitations. And in a way, it works really well because it acts as a filter for me connecting with the types of women I want who can appreciate that type of emotional depth right out of the gate. They're not really there to just mess around, play games with you. If they can handle a cuddle invite, and I do that very genuinely, then if they say yes, we just go immediately to cuddling, and now it feels good to both of us, and then we can have a really nice heart-centered connection from that point. And from there, we can have a really deep intellectual conversation, or we can help each other grow and have more of a spiritual connection, or we can, take it in a physical direction, make it more sensual or sexual if we like. But once you've connected with the heart, it's really easy to branch out and go those other paths. And also, if she happens to say no, then I go, great, I just saved myself a lot of time. It's probably not a person who's open to that kind of connection. Maybe she's nervous about it, or doesn't like me enough to want to do that, or whatever reason. But I'm like, great, you just saved me a lot of time, and I appreciate that. And then I can choose to have a more mental connection with her or something else if I want. So it works great just on a number of levels. And most of the time I've done those kind of invites, people say yes. That's probably at least 80-90% of the time. So it works out well.
What type of girls are you attracted to?
I'm still exploring that, but one thing I notice is I seem to be really attracted to women who have like some kind of French in their background. Who like are half French or quarter French or whatever. So like my girlfriend Rochelle, she's French Canadian, and I've explored a lot with just like different types of women to see what kinds I'm attracted to. And I'll see a lot of women that physically, they look very attractive by social standards, like they could be a model or a stripper or something like that. But then I just don't feel the kind of chemistry with them that I would like. And I've learned that I'm not really turned on so much by how a woman looks, but by how she uses her energy. Like, I'm really attracted to women who are very open-hearted and also really open sexually. So like they just have no resistance to like a body connection or a heart connection. And when that resistance is gone and we have really good chemistry, it just flows like that. Like when my girlfriend Rochelle and I first got together, I invited her over to my house and we were in bed together within an hour. It was just like boom, instant attraction, really great, great chemistry. And we've been together almost 4 years now. It's been like that just continuously. Especially since we travel a lot. She's back in Las Vegas now while I'm here in Oslo, and we're not going to see each other again until October 6th back in Vegas. And then every time we're like apart for a while, get back together, it's like boom, really fast chemistry again. And I don't really feel like I've explored that enough.
Kort eller content?
Kort. Yeah. I just got coffee.
Sure. I don't really feel I've explored that enough to know what's causing that chemistry or how to recognize it. But it's not something I can recognize by sight. Like I can't look at a woman and just know I'm going to have great chemistry with her. But I almost always know after I've cuddled her. So that's why I invite a lot of women to cuddle. Because when I'm that close with her and I can feel like what her energy is like, then I almost instantly know, like really quickly. And especially if I kiss her. Like if I kiss her and I know I can feel what the kiss is like, then I can really.
Conversations like this in me is very rare in this day-to-day life.
Not for me.
Yeah, so
this happens like all the time. Yeah, it's normal. I know.
So that's awesome.